sir, so we've seen the report that was played out for us. Of course, as we know, the Independent National Electoral Commission is conducting by and rerun elections in 80 local government areas across 26 states of the Federation. Already, the Commission said a total of over 4 million Nigerians who have collected their permanent voters card are expected to participate in the exercise. And like we've seen in the report, some places like Surulere had low turnout of voters. So in your opinion, what do you think would have been the cause of such low turnout of voters? Mr. Ario, let's start with you.
Thank you very much. Yes, naturally, by-elections of this nature from the past, usually staggered elections usually have a disadvantage of having people come out to vote again because of the fact that it is staggered election, and then but it is not a justification. Basically, the franchise right of everybody is that they should come out to vote. But we have seen it in the past that once it is not a general election of this this context, you will see that by election people are always very reluctant to come out to vote. But on the other hand, the advocacy on the part of government too is very low. INEC should be able to do more of advocacy to see that people are aware that election is coming in a particular area. For example, Surulere, that we are giving Lagos as example. A lot of people may not even know. Market women, all those things. Advocacy should be.
Been on the news for a while.
Everybody does not. It is not everybody that goes wants that listen to news. Market women typically they are more of what they want to sell and then what they want to give their children. So most of them don't understand what it means to come and vote in a staggered election. That one election came as a result of Bajab, resigning and taking up a position of a chief of staff to the president. So many may not be aware. I can assure you of that, because the market women are the ones coming out to vote, and then probably they will see that it's important for them to go for their own market and get some one of two things to doing and then make money.
Okay, so are we saying part of the reason for this low turnout might be that there's like a little distrust between the people and the electoral body, Mr. Sunday?
Well, in the first instance, it has to do with the popularity of the election itself. Okay. The caliber of people contesting the election. So that determines the voters' turnouts. Okay. If you check the general elections, you notice that in the presidential election, you will see large turnout of people because the popularity is high. Then when you now get down to governors, and you see that the figures will begin to drop. So the popularity of the election itself varies. That is one. The issue of trust and distrust here, it could be because some will say that INEC hardly seldom give people the result of the real figure of their votes, and so that distrust will come in. INEC is still suffering from that stigma, if you like, that people can hardly trust them, whether we vote or we don't vote, they have their own result. So for that, why should I go out and vote? So that might be one way, but I think more importantly is the popularity of the election itself. Popularity.
All right, so let's just look at the elections in general, looking at different diverse states. Before now, the INEC officials and all have come out to say, we've prepared adequately for this election. So now this is the day the election is already ongoing. From what you have seen and what we are seeing, would you agree? Do you think that actually INEC prepared properly for this election?
Well, if you talk in terms of preparation, we could say that they are prepared as they told us. Okay. And don't forget that since the general election, they have been busy with cases in court. So I think about the last judgment came about last week when they have to settle the last governorship election case. So they have also been busy with that, but that could not have disrupted or in a way obstruct their preparation for this by-election, because it's a marginal election. It's not like a general one. It's not a broad one. So, but we are having reports of materials not having arrived.
Yes.
Some centers. And so you can also not rule out the manipulation of politicians themselves to destroy the process and not allow it to go.
Well, we're not too sure of that.
No. It's a normal practice. No, it's not about not too sure. It's a normal practice. They are violent. They could apply violence. They could just do anything. Look at your breaking news now. Destruction of elections on state. That is what is on the screen now. So are you saying it's INEC that is doing that? Politicians will have their agents who can do their work.
I think people are just being, all right, let's have Mr. Ario's contribution on this.
What do you ask again?
Okay, so I said generally, looking at the election, INEC had done their preparations before now, and they gave us assurance that, okay, this election is adequately prepared for. Today is the day, from what we can see from the reports and everything, do you think INEC did enough?
Yes, I think INEC has done enough, on their part for what I can see so far. In the last election, I was an observer. So for now, I followed it up until I'm on my way to this place. I've been following it up, and then some of our reporters have told me in Surulere that the materials is on ground. Surulere, in where they are, like in Bangbushi now, one of them told me that along that route, that there is one skirmishes there, on their way to Surulere. But then, like the editor has said, you cannot overrule that reality in Nigerian context of electioneering process. Then I agree with him, and then so far so good. INEC has told us, the chairman had come out to tell us that preparation is on top gear, and then so many media reports had followed them, even upon when it was being delivered to Lagos and then taken to security, CBN and the rest of the locations. We've been following it, and they want to believe that what INEC has said came out in reality.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, looking back at what the incidences that happened during the general elections and how some things were quite messy, do you think INEC also learned from, or made corrections rather, if I'll put it that way? But again, I feel we'll give kudos to an extent when it comes to violence and ballot snatching and all. For now, we haven't really heard much on that. So do you think that the INEC probably had learned, picked lessons rather from the incidences that happened during the general elections and, worked on their preparations better?
Okay, yes. What has always given advantage to ballot snatching is the fact that accreditation, is not being digital in the way it is now. Then, you have to do it in a analog way,
yes.
But now it is digital. The only thing that is making people not to really trust INEC is what they have been able to say in that last election and how they did something different. And what is it they have said? It is that they have said that they are going to be uploading every of the results on iRev in real time. The chairman of INEC told correspondents in Channels TV, and I followed up the story, that every material, every voting will be uploaded in real time for people to access it. So that alone is an advantage to Nigerian masses who took out their time to vote against those who are wanting to snatch ballot box. One of the factors that is being considered is the fact that it will come out in real time. If you want to steal ballot, it's no more relevant for you. For those who want to know what agent, what's it called? Like for example, Ikeja Ward 1 is having now, it is already on digital, on the internet, online, on their website. So it becomes irrelevant for those who have what we call the ballot paper analog, because but INEC did not practice what they preached eventually. Okay. And it is that the real time they have said did not come. The ballot, the iRev was not, the ballot paper was not uploaded. The result sheet weren't uploaded. people begin to ask questions. Why is it that the INEC, this chairman, had came out to tell the press, the world, that this is exactly what they are going to be doing, and that is going to be discouraging, anybody from stealing ballot boxes. That is why you see that the ballot snatching thing has been faced off. Okay, but the question that is making people feel disadvantaged and reluctant of coming out to want to cast their vote, it is that the INEC must be on their toes to do what will make them truly independent, devoid of, Nigerians seeing them to be a partisan thing other than what they stood for, Independent National Electoral Commission. So that is my stand about it.
Mr. Sunday, do you have any other thing to add?
Well, yeah, you were asking if INEC has learned anything from the last election.
From the last election.
Going into the next election. Well, evaluating INEC on that basis will be when the next general election comes. Okay. Because it's a by-election that could be managed. Like he said, the transparency, the credibility of the election, is questionable at any point in time. Because in the large general elections, the INEC chairman, continues, he continues to tell people, we're going to upload this to the, we're going to transmit results to the website.
It didn't work out.
All right, on election day, we found that the result of the National Assembly election were transmitted electronically immediately. And after that, the presidential election result could not be transmitted. I moved around. And I was like, in fact, I got to one polling unit and I saw the boys were eating rice. I said, oh, boys, have you transmitted it? They say, yes. And they didn't know that as at that time, the INEC websites have been shut down. You get it? So they need INEC also need to build its own confidence, the trust. Okay. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you're not going to do something, don't tell people you're going to do it. Because that trust deficit is still hanging on there. Maybe they don't no longer have that confidence. And if you look at the cases at the tribunals, the complications of the cases came from the fact that the lawyers couldn't get proper record from INEC.
Yes.
Do you understand? Virtually, the lawyers people who lost their cases could not get proper record from INEC to
prove overvoting.
Correct.
There are many cases that we saw conspicuously that those who were accredited are beyond those who voted with the ballot. So where is the dichotomy? The lawyer should be able to interpret that in the face of the law in front of the judges. But where INEC is unable to show those materials in tandem with what was who got accredited and who got voted. The dichotomy and that lacuna is there. We saw it, but to prove it in the court becomes a problem, and it is always suffering, a setback because of what the INEC has given them in material. We have had again where INEC is frustrating, all the ballot, what was used to vote. In the case of Kogi now, there's a challenge of state INEC not wanting to release the ballot, the records. So that alone, that news alone would come out in form of divergent views from Nigerians. Some will begin to think that what is INEC's own problem on this matter? People begin to say INEC is independent, and somebody feels that, okay, I am not satisfied with the way this election went, I want to seek a redress in court. INEC, being an intermediary between 2 or 4 or 5 people who contested, should stand neutral. So in this case, why are you not releasing the ballot box or the records and the rest of them for them to have a forensic evaluation and then get up whatever 2-3 fact findings they've gotten and table it in court? You are frustrating it. And don't forget, there is a time frame for when a lawyer of any disgruntled candidate can apply in court. After that time, once that time elapses, that person fails woefully, cannot get to tribunal. So why is INEC frustrating that process? So those are the questions that is making some people feel that whether we vote or not, so this is what is called apathy. The information dissemination process are there. People are listening to news and getting their own conclusion from there. So INEC should be able to stand tall and neutral in cases of this context, so that people can, the believability will be there.
Okay, so let's look at it from the security angle. I mean, the IG of police also did his own part in deploying more men, and banning movements in some places. And so far, like I said earlier, we've seen that to an extent, the elections have been peaceful, So what do you have to say about that?
On security, the police has done what is expected of them constitutionally. It's not banning, it's restriction of movement. Yes. So they will restrict movement from one location to the other, just to see that the election is orderly in terms of, avoiding violence, in terms of ensuring that those who are willing to vote go to their polling unit peacefully and cast their vote in terms of the franchise rights. And these are the things that the things that makes security very expedient and very important to ensure that the process is free, fair, and allow those who has the choice of the people to take charge in the conclusive of the election.
All right. So we have one of our correspondents who is on the field currently in Surulere, Mr. Lebby Joseph, who would be joining us now from the field. All right. Mr. Lebby?
Hello.
All right, can you give us updates on what's going on in your polling unit right now?
All right, I'm standing at the Adenino Ogunsanya Registration Center. There are 2 polling units in this area. Right behind me is polling units known as Alaji Masha, and right down the other side, along towards the INEC office in Surulere local government, is the polling unit for Small London. But right now, voting has ended, and people are waiting for the counting of the ballots, which I think we'll have to wait till about 2 or 4 o'clock before they start counting. But for now, voting has ended because there was this low turnout. Many people did not turn up for this election. Even going around on the streets, people are there doing their normal businesses. The market is operating, and it's like people didn't even take this election serious.
From Surulere, we had Lebby Joseph on the field to give us updates, and just as we saw in the report earlier, low turnout of voters, and they're currently done with the elections, and it's up to count and the rest. But looking, because I mean, at the general elections, there was this huge turnout, that shocked Nigeria as a whole, because nobody saw it coming. There was this awakening in Nigerians to realize that, oh, okay, this is my right. I need to come out and vote. This is something I need to do for myself. So what do you think happened? I mean, we're talking about last year, and this is in as much as it's a smaller election, but now we're now still back to having low turnout. So are we still looking at the distrust, or could it be something else? Oh, okay, we have Mr. Lebby back on. Mr. Lebby?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know if you can hear me, Mr. Lebby.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you come again?
All right, so if you can hear me, at what time did the election materials get to leave various RAC centers?
Well, I'm talking about the conduct of INEC officials. INEC were really, really up and doing in this matter. But as at 7:30, before 8 o'clock, all polling units, materials have gotten out to all the polling units, and the officials were there, seated, waiting for voters to come out. That was when we were told that the election process will start by 8 o'clock. Every other areas that we visited, election materials was available as early as 7:30 this morning.
So how was the situation during the election? Was there any issue of violence or any such during the election? Obviously, it's done now. But was there any issue coming up during the election, during the voting? I beg your pardon.
Contrary to the belief of everybody, because this election, people believe it's going to be, it could be violent or any other one. But today, we saw a peaceful conduct. We saw people just doing their thing without any agitation, no any form of intimidation. Even the police officers that were on ground for security, all of them, nothing much for them to do, because there was no report of a single problem whatsoever in all the 258 polling units in this Surulere Federal Constituency 1.
All right. Thank you so much. Joining us live from the field as well is Mr. Bosan Yakusak, and he'll be joining us from Kaduna State. I don't know if we have Bosan on the line. Do we have Bosan? All right, so while we wait for Bosan to join us, we were speaking on the turnout and, comparing the large turnout we had from last general elections to, in as much as these are two separate elections, that's the general and these like a by-election. Yeah. But still yet, we were expecting that same large turnout to, to still reflect in this election, but we didn't get it. Why? What do you think?
No, it's going to be difficult to have that kind of turnout. Like I said earlier, it's about the popularity of the election itself, and the candidates. In the general election, there was that impulse for that emotion for change. People were like, oh, we need change, so we must get out there and make the decision. Yeah. All right, and they came out en masse and they voted. And in this by-election, it's about, the election is not as important to the people than, so it's more irrelevant.
But this is a closer election.
That is what the people are thinking. Look, that's what the people are feeling. It's not relevant to the people. Because what they have, what are you talking? Since the last general election, what has Nigeria benefited? Look at the policies of government. What did even in the same country, all right, Nigeria vote right, and then gives Nigerians the real result of their voting, you're going to see something different.
Okay, so
you can see market women, the people are in the market now, are they going to eat the election?
Well, they came out last week.
Look at that, the markets are functioning now, and don't forget that there's restriction of movement.
All right, Mr. Shegun.
Yes, the editor has given one very striking pointer regarding what could motivate people to go and vote. This is, although we can't assess the president and some of the governors for just about 7 or 8 months now, but we should be able to look at what is their aim and objective from the starting of their assumption of office. So a lot of people are complaining indeed that the direction is not tilting towards the people's policy, so that alone is serving as a disadvantage. People are suffering, the economy is not smiling, and then, like I said in the earlier, the market women would not want to jeopardize the little opportunity they have in terms of what they are going to be selling, their profit and all that, given the fact that their children have to go to school. And you can agree with me statistically that larger proportion of their children are in a private school, so they have to pay some amount of school fees, feeding, and all these day activities for their children. So they will just look at it that, okay, going and spending about 4 or 5 hours getting accredited and coming back to vote, why not let me stay in the market? I'm just talking, my own view that might be the cause. Because now, if for example, the economy is booming, they saw what they voted for, and they see that the policy instruments, the policy direction, the policy initiatives from the president is tilting towards what indeed would lead to, breakthrough in economy, breakthrough on infrastructure, breakthrough in security. I can assure you that you will see a lot of turnout. That on that side. The other side, the advocacy part of what I was saying initially, is the fact that people do not know whether they are. Majority of Nigerian people don't know they're having election in Surulere. Even those in the inhabitants of Surulere. I'm telling you sincerely, because majority of those that comes out to vote, are the low-income earners.
Well, I mean, what would INEC have done to have everybody
advocacy should have come on in areas that they want to vote or they are trying to do by election? There should be a need for INEC to, at least before 30 days before now, do 3 jingles to show that, okay, in different kind of lingua franca, to show that, okay, in Yoruba, in Hausa, depending on, for example, in Lagos now, Surulere, they should come in Yoruba communication to let people know that, okay, election will be coming so. For example, you have a communication platform like, I'm not giving any Yoruba platform of radio out there that can do the jingles for them, tell them, okay, election will be coming so time. This is a Yoruba state. People should be able to get an understanding of when election want to take place.
All right.
That's it. Okay. So that's the advocacy I'm talking about. Yes.
Okay, so let's just quickly move to our second topic of discussion for today. I think we've overflogged this election. So we've seen the federal government on Tuesday inaugurated the 37-man tripartite committee on national minimum wage. Yes, and the committee is to recommend a new national minimum wage for the country. So in your general opinion, do you think this recent step the federal government has taken as regards this minimum wage issue, you think it's a step in the right direction?
Yes, first of all, the promise made by the president, when the labor went on strike, part of it is for them to shelve the strike and then see how, a modality is put together, and then part of what was agreed is to get a tripartite of this committee where labor will be represented, all the civil society organization will be represented. So this is what they have agreed upon, and then the executive on their part have started, implementing it. So the question now is, how are they going to come to terms with labor proposing the 200,000 minimum wage?
We were going to get there. Mr. Rio was way too fast. All right, so let's hear your view, Mr. Sunday.
If you take it from the perspective of the takeoff of the government, what we say is belated.
Okay.
Right? Because people have suffered for about 7-8 months because of the policy of the government. That is belated. Then if you also look at it from the perspective that it's one of the campaign promise of Mr. President.
Yes.
We might say, okay, fine. It's okay.
So he's doing what he said he will do.
Yeah, so it's okay, fine. He's taking it up and he's going. So, having said that, but my own fear, you see, we have the Salaries and Wages Commission. All right? Then Mr. President would have looked inward and begin from the inward and now push it outward. So, are they going to decide for the commission from the outside? Or will the commission decide from the inside?
The committee is
hold on.
to recommend.
Don't forget, immediately after the general elections, the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation Fiscal Commission came up with a point, increase the salary of Mr. President and the governors and all that immediately without even being inaugurated before his inauguration. Do you understand? Now, that is the duty of the Salary and Wages Commission, if not to look into this particular. So the Mr. President would have started from the inside. Then let it be an issue that we are going to debate. So I think, let's see how they are going to harmonize that.
Okay. All right. So just as Mr. Ario was already touching on the fact that the labor union leader came out to propose over 200,000 naira as he proposed, yes, in quotes. So, looking at the current, okay, so his point was looking at the current cost of living in Nigeria, 200,000 or above even will not be too much for a minimum wage. But I mean, now looking at the current economic situation of Nigeria, do you think that amount is realistic?
Well, it could be realistic in a way when you compare, because the economic situation does not stop the senators from spending over 100 million to buy one. No, it's true. To buy a vehicle for each lawmaker. Okay, let's take that.
All right. Okay, so let's quickly take Mr. Bosan from Kaduna. Hello, Mr. Bosan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So can you quickly give us an update on what's happening in your polling unit right now?
Yes, so I'm presently in Katsina local government, whereby voting is ongoing in several polling units. You know, I visited polling units in Gumel. I visited some polling units in Katsina local government, in Paturu also. But there is an issue that happened earlier this morning that had to do with students of Kaduna State University and some other students of Kaduna Polytechnic. You know, about 1,200 students were transported from Kaduna State to Katsina local government, about 120 kilometers away from town. You know, and since they arrived at Katsina local government, INEC did not attend to some of these students. These students slept outside, you know, it is winter time, the weather is cold. Some of these students are married women with children. You know, since they arrived, nobody attended to them. And this morning, when we went to the INEC office in Kaduna, here in Katsina, the students were staging a peaceful protest. And even as at that time, nobody attended to them. They had to go to the police station here in Katsina to report themselves that they were brought down from Kaduna with a free transportation from INEC, and nobody said anything to them. They say after this morning, there is a register, created a register, you know, and then this register did not contain some of their names. So they were challenging the INEC staff that they were trained for about 3 days. After training them, they sent a vehicle, rather some vehicles, to bring them down to Katsina. And when they brought them here, nobody said anything to them. So the students were practically angry and they were protesting because some of them in their lecturing halls on Friday when they were called upon to enter the vehicles and they were brought down here. So as at the time I left the INEC office, those students were still there stranded. But generally around Katsina here, there is voter apathy, we experience low voting turnout. Aside from that, we also experience, you know, vote buying within town. We also experienced some challenges with fevers. The machine had some challenges with the money, but even though they were able to rectify some of those challenges, but voter apathy is one of the major challenges that we're experiencing in Kaduna State. And then students that were brought all the way from Kaduna and then to Katsina down here, nothing has been done. Nobody attended to them, and the students are stranded. They have protested. They went to the police station here in Katsina to accuse themselves, and up to now, nobody has said anything.
I don't know if you could hear me, but I wanted asking if INEC has said anything concerning the students. Have they made a statement, or probably we get to hear the side of the story on what happened and who formally brought the students all the way there?
I've spoken to the coordinator there.
Yes, basically,
Mr. Bosan?
by INEC, because it was INEC that sent them to their schools, you know, to convey them down to Katsina. This is because INEC had written to their various schools, Kaduna Polytechnic and Kaduna State University, requesting for some of their students to participate as first staff. This students also they underwent training for about 3 days. You know, after this training, yesterday, a vehicle had been rushed from vehicles to put them down in Kacha. But since they arrived here in Kacha, nobody said anything to them. You know, the students were protesting that no feeding, no accommodation, nothing, nobody to even address or attend to them. You know, so they got frustrated. They took themselves to the police station, you know, because I think they are undergraduates, they are educated. So they went to report to the police station that this is the situation they found themselves. About 1,200 students talking about here.
To the studio and quickly wrapping up on our discussion right now.